The brew day today I'm doing is a crazy IPA. It's actually madness. I gotta honor it to something. What would it be? It's March. I know. The hop schedule for this is crazy. I'm gonna stagger the hops, but I'm gonna do a different hop every edition. So from the boil all the way through the steep. The yeast I'm using today is really cool. It's from Brew Beer Co. And they are located in Glendale. They are rad guys. I've got to know them a little bit because I go in there pretty frequently. They do mostly lagers, and by lagers I mean they use a common strain. So whatever the anchor steam strain is, I think that's kind of what they use. So I can ferment this at around 65, 66 range, and I don't have to do the whole lager rigmarole with it. I might do a diacetyl to rest anyway, just to be safe, but I probably won't go higher than 70. So I'll do it like 65-ish, bump it up to about 70 degrees Fahrenheit for about 2 days after it's done fermenting, maybe 3 days even, and then and then let it ride out there and clean up and do my normal kegging from there. And I'm kegging this because I'm doing a 2-gallon batch, but I couldn't resist trying a hoppy beer with it. They do a hoppy common style beer there. They call it an India Pale Lager, which is more of a term I'm seeing around. It's not like totally unheard of. They have a good one, so I thought I'd try one too. Thank you, Sherwin. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you guys so much for the yeast. I'll put it to good use. I can't get this to work. So it's open. I thought it might be vapor locked, but I've unplugged everything. I've unscrewed everything. I'm just propane in here. It's a little low, but it's not like out. I might have to heat the mash water and sparge water and the boil all on side today, which sucks because that won't produce very much heat. Of course, the day I try and do a 2-gallon batch, I'm having issues with my burner. There's a 1-gallon batch, it's not a big deal because that's enough heat to get it done, but this sucks. I got it. I don't know what I did, I just kept messing with it and it works. I'm gonna bring the kettle back out and put it back on. I only cut the mash water by a third. I need to go half to cut this down. So I'm gonna throw a little lactic acid in this and test it again. That's acceptable. I did about a half cap's worth of that lactic acid. So I'm doing a bigger mash this time. Usually a drop of lactic acid brings my pH down by 0.1. That's for a 1-gallon mash though. So I have a lot more water in there. So I figured it's about 2 to 3 drops to do it. It's a horrible way to do this. I need to actually measure this out. I think a good rule of thumb still is 1 milliliter can bring down your pH by 0.1. I don't have milliliter measurements is the problem. The only one I have is 15, and then 30 and higher. And it starts at 15 milliliter there. Still, I mean, I can't use this really to measure. So I tried it by weight a few times and that doesn't work. I think I gotta do it by teaspoons and just get my own teaspoon measurements and by quarter, by eighth, and just test it out by that way. I did not cut the water in half this time with distilled water. If I'm cutting the water in half with distilled water, it's about 6.5% acid malt. If I'm not using distilled water, it's going to be closer to 8 or 9% acid malt. My water is very hard. Please work. It's a good sound. It's a good sound. Get it lit. Get it going. Get it going. $10.57. Well, I was going for $10.44. I'm gonna have to obviously test this about halfway through and then again near the end and just see where I'm at with my gravity. I haven't done a 2-gallon batch in forever, so for all I know, this could end up being okay. I tried to go off what I'd done in the past, and what I had done in the past was what I did today. So I'm a little concerned this could be in the 1075, 1070 range, and I really want to be closer to 1062 than 1065. I can always cut down the boil. So if at 30 minutes into the boil, if I'm pretty high, if I'm like at 1062, 1065, I'm gonna cut it there. And then what I'm gonna do instead is do a long steeping. The steeping right now I have is 20 minutes, 10 and 1 minute, and I will just extend it to like 45 minutes if I have to. I really, really don't want to be way over and have this be sweeter than I was intending, so I'm going to have to adjust this along the way. Never goes smooth, does it for me? All right, 10:56. I'm 25 minutes into the boil, and I'm only at 10:56. I'm relatively on target right now. I'm going to take another gravity reading in about 15 minutes and see where I'm at. 10:60. Well, I'm on track. I must have got a really wacky first reading. My guess is I was somewhere in the 10:47 range, not 10:57 range. I did read it a few times just to make sure I wasn't going crazy, but I don't understand how I went from 10:57 and now I'm only at 10:60 and I only have about 7-8 minutes left in the boil. So I don't know. It's wacky. I don't know what happened the first reading I got, but so far so good, it seems like. It looks like I'm gonna hit my target at around 1062, 1065 range. Normally for a 5-gallon batch, going from 1055 or 1057 to 1065, 1067 is normal. I do 2 gallons and 1 gallons. So my surface area is so large that my boil off goes a lot stronger. When I do a 1-gallon batch, I'm starting at around 1035, ending up around 1065 or higher. And when I do these 2-gallon batches, I expect about 1045 to about 1065. One is getting a gravity reading of about triple. So from 1035 to 1065, and the other one's going 1045, 1065, so that one's going double. So my boil offs are a lot more volatile. If I boil in a 10-gallon pot and I did a 1-gallon batch, it would be like 1035 to 1085, and it'd be like a gunky, crazy mess. But that's what's happening with my batches. You guys do different things. I know that. Most of you do 5-gallon, 10-gallon batches. I know that. I'm gonna do a lot of percentages when it comes to my grain profile, and my hops I'm gonna try to do it by IBUs rather than amounts. So you guys can take everything and do what you will with it. It's the idea on paper anyway. 1064. The problem is I don't know if I got a false reading on the first gravity reading I took, or if that's what I get. If I start around 1057 and I end up at 1064, is that what I'm going to get with these 2-gallon batches? That's not what I had before. Before, if I started at 1057, I'd end around 1077 or maybe even 1070, depending on if I was on my period that day. I have no idea how I got from 1057 to 1064. My mind is boggled. But regardless, I made sure that nothing was going wacky during the boil. And that's a huge, huge step. I did it on the last brew day, and I'm going to keep doing it. And with the mash too. I'm going to make sure my mash is very babied. I'm going to make sure that's honed in with my pH and stuff. And then the boil, and make sure that everything's right. If I'm under my gravity, I can put DME in it. If I'm way over, I can dilute it down. So there's things I can do. But I hit it this time, and that's all that matters. So it's kind of hard to see, but this is, let's see, about 73 to 74 degrees Fahrenheit. And I think the top end temperature for the strain is around 75-ish. Even though I'm not entirely sure what the strain is. I think it's WLP 810. But because it's from Brew Yard, I didn't really get any details of what they have, but I do think 810 is one of them. So yeah, I'm going to pitch it now and let it go. I'm going to save a little bit of this yeast, actually, because I have a feeling it's going to be good. Thanks again, Brew Yard. You guys are awesome. Our neighbor has the cutest white cat. Amazing. I want one. Our cat's shitty though. We got a dud.